if we look at what we're seeing, it's a real candidate market. And what I mean by that term is there are over 1 million vacancies according to the ONS right now. So around a 40% uplift in the number of jobs compared to where we were a couple of years ago. When I drill down into entry level roles specifically, around a 51% increase in roles in comparison to 2019. Looking at London specifically, overall, the London job market's been a little bit slower to recover, but it's still 30% above pre-pandemic levels. So I guess what the data is quite clearly showing us is there's a lot of opportunity for young people right now, early career talent, as they move themselves into the job market. When we look at the entry level roles available, particularly in London right now, it's completely across the mix. I mean, mostly in HR, healthcare, hospitality, education, real estate, all these kind of areas. And beyond that, really most sectors are looking at early career talent that don't necessarily have a degree. And I think what happens to a lot of students is you make this assumption. You look at those who are successful and you think, well, they got there, I have to follow the same career journey as them. And for many people who are running companies, holding senior roles out there, you'll find a lot of them have degrees, but things have really, really changed. So about 74% of employers have told us they're less interested in a university degree than maybe they were 10 years ago. And I think what's happening is a lot of students just don't know that. When we run a lot of surveys at Indeed, we have an enormous amount of people using our platform every month. We found about 24% of students are just not aware that there are actually other options outside of higher education or going to university. I think back to myself when I was finishing school, it was only university. You can't get a good job unless you've been to uni. But as I say, things have really, really changed. And when we're surveying students, we're finding about 3/4 of them have kind of confessed to us they'd be more likely to go straight into an entry-level job if they knew a degree wasn't a necessity to their employer. And that's because of the rising cost of living going on, university fees. So I think it's just an education piece to show young people, to show those leaving school that actually a lot of employment is not necessarily requiring you to have a degree, and not necessarily just a degree. I think in total, the requirements, the specifications, these long lists of bullet points have really, really changed over the last 5 or 10 years for companies to be much broader in terms of the type of talent they're looking to bring on. I just think the market is continually fluctuating. Companies' needs are changing, people's needs are changing. I think the other thing to bear in mind as well is a lot of organizations are thinking much more inclusively. They're realizing that not everyone can follow the same path. Not everyone has the opportunity to go to university. Could be caring responsibilities, parenting responsibilities, could just be those rising costs in even going to university in the first place. So we're finding a lot of employers realizing this and actually understanding there's some real quality talent out there that didn't have the opportunity to go to university. I think sometimes there can be this pressure because, as I mentioned, a lot of students just don't realize that there is this change happening and that companies aren't necessarily looking for this degree requirement in order to take you on. I think one of the main reasons behind that change is because of this candidate market that I mentioned earlier. So that means there's effectively more jobs now in the UK than there are maybe people looking for work, which means that there's a lot more opportunity open. That 40% increase in the number of jobs across the UK just over the last 2 years, we haven't seen that increase in the number of people looking for work. In fact, that stayed about the same. So as a job seeker, you've got a lot more opportunity, a lot more choice, which means that companies need to be a little bit more flexible in terms of the type of talent they're willing to bring on. So a lot of companies are looking inwards. They're thinking, if we just get onboarding right, if we can improve the training and the learning opportunities that we give to talent when they join us, actually we can shift our focus to bringing in people with less experience, less tenure, but that kind of can-do attitude that you mentioned earlier, those soft skills, and get them to a point that they need in order to be successful in that role. I think for things to improve, and hey, I want to speak to those students who aren't getting the results they're hoping for as well, who maybe don't have the option to go on to further learning. stay positive. I've been in that position myself. It's a candidate market out there. Just focus on your soft skills. It's what a lot of employers are looking for right now. So think about what it is that you can bring to an employer. Think about the types of roles you'd like to do. Go and read the job ads. Go on Indeed, run a job search, look at the skill requirements, and just think, what can I do? What does this role need of me, and where are those gaps? And then start to think about, how do I bridge some of those gaps for myself? Is it through volunteering, apprenticeships, online learning? There's so many resources out there. National Careers Service, even on Indeed, there's lots of further information to help people get ready for that role.